All right, we have time to take a few questions. So if you've got a question, raise your hand, and I will call on you. Question is about false confessions, which show up in a lot of these cases, and I wonder if anyone on stage has some thoughts about how we as a society should be dealing with that.
I wanna maybe start it off by saying this, and I'm sure that every one of us have something to say about that. I want to challenge the New York City's police department to begin rolling the tapes, begin filming as soon as they put an individual in the police car, and then continue filming when they're in the interrogation rooms. And I think that right there may stop all of this. But then the other part is this. Inside city schools, we need to begin to teach young children the law. We were in LA the other day, and I was talking to somebody, and I said, in New York City, most people really don't know the law. We don't know that it's against the law to jaywalk. And if you saw somebody standing up at the corner waiting for the light to change, you would look at them strange. Because you're not a New Yorker unless you know how to jaywalk, And it's funny because in LA, you will get a ticket for walking across the street in any other way other than the corner. So, I don't know if you guys want to,
No, Yusuf makes a great point. The best reform for preventing false confessions, and this is something that has been implemented in a number of states and cities, is to videotape custodial interrogations from the beginning. Not from 30 hours in, which is what you're seeing here, where it's rehearsed, it's staged, all the information is there, but from the very beginning. And New York City, the NYPD recently announced that they do intend to implement a program like that, but it's yet to be seen how that will be implemented and whether they will actually do it right. And so I think it's important that we really hold their feet to the fire on that and demand that that is done, because that is really the best thing that we can do to try to prevent the false confessions from happening. There's some bigger problems here too, but that one thing we hope can be addressed that way here.
The question was to Yusuf about his mother stopping the interrogation, and if he could talk more about what happened there.
None of us knew the law, And I remember hearing my mother talk about this whole process once, and she said something to the effect, well, actually, it wasn't her. It wasn't my mom. Somebody was talking about my mother, and they were saying, your mother became a warrior because of this, And I want to just recognize, I don't know if this is okay, but I need to recognize somebody in the audience. There's a few people, I know a few people in the room, but I need to recognize Dave Nocenti, because, Dave, I was a part of the Big Brothers and Big Sisters League of New York back when I was growing up. And Dave Nocenti was my big brother. And in many ways, he was also a father figure, And the job that he did at that time, they were threatening to take his job, because I think he was a assistant U.S. district attorney at the time. And they were asking him, well, are you here on your official capacity, And of course, it was like, I'm his big brother, But I think that the reality of the matter is that because of what was known about the law through the group and the circle that was coming to our defenses, my mother was able to lean on the folks that were there around her and say, no, I need him to be stopped. I need the interrogation to stop now. He's not the age that you think he is, because as you can see in the film, when my lawyer put the notes that McKenna wrote, which is his own notes, when he put those notes in, it says that I was born in 1973. I had a medical ID on me from Mount Sinai, I believe, or Metropolitan Hospital, that said clearly I was born in 1974, and I carried that all the time with me, But I think that reality, that strength, that circle of confidence is in many ways what stopped it. And I always held that, had they had a little bit more time, you probably would have seen me talking. Some foolishness, some stuff that I didn't, because that's how it was. When I was there's a lot that we can't really talk about right now. But when I was in the when I was in the precinct, Corey and I went to the precinct together, as you see in the film. And they left me alone in the room for a long time. And I remember waking up, and you can imagine being in a precinct, not being home, but being extremely exhausted and just falling asleep. And can you imagine a young child waking up wide awake? That usually doesn't happen. Most people gotta threaten their children to get up out of the bed, But they were in the other room beating Corey up, So, had they had a little bit more time, I don't know what would have happened.
As you can see in the film, the juror, a grown man, he went through the same thing we went through. They was tired of him. They wanted him to make a decision. They gave him pressure. And what he said? At the end of the day, I was wiped out. I just wanted to go home. That's what we went through at 14 and 15 years old. That's how strong pressure could be. I just wanted to relate that to you.
Question, very good one, is what can people do who feel outraged by this?
As Corey is saying, just come out. On this paper it says that it's going to happen at 2:30. And usually what we request is that folks start coming maybe 15, 30 minutes before that time, because we want to make sure that everybody can get in. But once they see that the Central Park 5 has the city behind them, a lot of moving and shaking,
You know what, is that we are all complicit in this. We accepted the line that the cops and the prosecutors fed to the press. The press printed it without their normal skepticism, and we sort of bought it hook, line, and sinker, ignored, essentially, didn't even give a nod to fairness, as Craig Stephen Wilder said. And it's now our obligation to actually not just turn out, but I think continually dog the people who are so intransigent in this case, who are so certain that their reputations are more important than the sacrifice of 5 lives. When this happened, it's a 13-year tragedy of justice denied. It's now a 10-year subsequent limbo of justice delayed, which, as you all know, is justice denied. And all you need to do is put yourself in the place of any one of these human beings here, any one of these men who are missing a huge gap of their life, and how much of your life are you willing to expend in a letter, in a phone call, in a presence to help offset the deficit that's already here?
To say it loud, it's the federal courthouse, 500 Pearl Street. It's the 18th floor, 18D, and that's at the magistrate judge is Judge Ellis. And I'm gonna put this on the Central Park 5 Facebook page as well, so that if folks want to go there, we all have Facebook, well, most of us have Facebook pages, but it's on the Facebook page, it's on personal Facebook pages, it's on Twitter, and we're also gonna put it on the official Central Park 5 Facebook page so that everybody will be able to tell their friends about it as well.
Well, you're going to have a lot more friends after tonight. The film opens on November 23rd, the day after Thanksgiving. We are very thankful to have Yusuf, Antron, Kevin, Raymond, and Corey with us tonight. Thank you very much for coming. Thanks to the team behind Central Park 5.